Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Regional Council meeting for February 9th, 2026. Take the time to acknowledge the traditional territories of our friends and neighbors, our Treaty 8 partners of the Prophet River and the Fort Nelson First Nations. We recognize our treaty and the rights within that treaty, and we recognize the enduring presence of the Métis people in our region. Please be advised that tonight's meeting is available to the public to attend virtually and is being streamed and recorded. Council, are there any additions? I have one addition, and it will come under new business, and it's the mayor's reconsideration of the adoption of the 2025 OCP bylaw. And the night's proceedings will sort of let you know why I'm putting it on the agenda tonight. Staff, are there any additions?
No, thank you.
Okay. So the only other thing I would like to do is rearrange the agenda to allow for item number 8.2, report 0826, the additional information on the bulk fuel light industrial fuel storage and liability. I'd like to move it to the end of the report at 8.5 because I'd like to take that particular report in camera under legal matters, and I'll explain that when we get there. 8.2 goes down to 8.5 and everything else moves up. Those are the changes that I have. Okay, this is the opportunity for the public to comment on anything on the agenda tonight. Is there anybody who wishes to speak to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, that moves to adoption of the agenda as proposed. Moved by Councillor Enoch, second by Councillor Souls. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you. There are 3 sets of minutes. Committee of the whole from January the 26th, the public hearing from January 26th, and the regional council from January 26th, 2026 for adoption, please. Moved by Councillor Enoch, second by Councillor Gerwings. Is there any errors or omissions? Staff? No? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor of adoption? That passes. Thank you. Is there any business arising from that? There's one piece of business arising, so that's the response to Mpudzi and a letter from Michele, Executive Director, Northern Rockies Senior Society. CAO Barry was going to speak to that, but he is not here. Oh, there he is.
I'm here,
okay.
Sir. I am here. Just to advise council that while staff is preparing the information that council's asked for, we did circle back with both Mr. Mpudzi and the Senior Society to advise that council gave that direction and to stand by, so they were aware that we were working in the background.
Good. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Okay, there is one proclamation, and I'm very happy to read it out. Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Proclamation for Heritage Week, February 16th to 22, 2026. Whereas the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality celebrates a rich history that is manifest at its museum, public library, historic sites, cultural landscapes, and whereas these assets are a source of invaluable information about the history of our community, and stories about them provide a vital legacy to guide and nurture future generations. And whereas stories about the past strengthen our community's unique identity and foster a sense of place, and whereas Heritage Week begins on National Heritage Day, the third Monday of February, and whereas communities throughout BC mark Heritage Week to celebrate their unique history and heritage, and whereas this year's theme is Stir the Pot, and you're invited to dig deeper into your community's past and explore the many layers and stories that your unique community holds. Take some time this week to learn something new about the place you call home. And whereas the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality values and wishes to conserve its rich and diverse heritage resources, now therefore I, Rob Fraser, Mayor of the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality, do hereby proclaim the week of February 16th to 22nd, 2026 as Heritage Week in the Northern Rockies Municipality. I'm happy to sign that. Is there somebody who would like to receive this? I'll keep one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to reports, section 8 of the agenda tonight. First, administration report, number 0726, recreation sites and trails update.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. This is just a report that provides a bit of an update on discussions that staff have had recently with Recreation Sites and Trails BC. There's updates on work that was completed in 2025 and work planned for 2026 for various recreation sites within the region, including Parker Lake, the demonstration forest, the Alaska Highway Borrow Pits, Beaver Lake, Skooks Landing, and Crooked Lake and West Lake in the Smith River area. During our conversation with Recreation Sites and Trails, they suggested there may be an opportunity for council to consider whether or not they wish to discuss taking over some of the more prevalent recreation sites, and that there'd be an opportunity to provide further information if council so wishes. Turn it over to council.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for that report. Does anybody have any questions? Comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate this report, and I think that the residents of the NRM will appreciate having access to this information. So I think that it would be worth investigating what that might look like if the NRM decided to take over or accept responsibility for some of the more used rec sites.
So my question is just a concept, or have there actually been discussions sort of back and forth about what it might look like yet?
This is the first time I've heard them suggest that there's an opportunity to discuss this further. So there's been no further discussion other than I said I would bring this to council to gauge interest and see if there's an opportunity or if council's interested in further discussion.
Because I think we've made overtures before, haven't we? At least dropped a heavy hint that maybe they should consider it.
Give it up. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But this is the first time I've actually heard them actually suggest it first.
Are there any other comments or questions?
Just to add that I think that we had to seek permission from Parks and Rec to do some work on some of the sites.
The road,
So,
yeah. I think it's a great idea for us to at least pursue it and come back with whatever proposal they might have, I guess, or come to some kind of mutual agreement with respect to what we might do with that. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, thank you. Councilor Andrews, please.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would be interested in further conversations and maybe a list on potential sites, and then we can get some community feedback on which sites we might want to partner with.
So yeah, so I think if you can keep Councilor Andrews in the loop, because that's his portfolio, that would be awesome. Good. Look forward to see what that looks like. Any other comments or questions? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That brings us now to 8.3, which is the development variance permit application DVP 2502, variance off-street parking requirements on Sunset Drive. Rhoda, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this report in front of you is associated with the presentation earlier Kelly provided at the committee of whole meeting. And I'm bringing this report to make council aware of the considerations needed for the development variance permit. This report specifically is seeking for a variance related to the parking requirements. Our zoning bylaw requires minimum parking lots for any development, which this development does not quite meet. So they are requesting for a variance to relax the requirements of the zoning bylaw. As Kelly had mentioned earlier, this development would have 23 units with the combination of 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom unit configuration. And based on the unit configurations, the number of parking requirements has been calculated as 29 stalls. Out of 29 stalls, 17 parking stalls are fully located within the boundaries of the property. 12 are outside or partially located within the property, but mostly outside of the property boundary. I would also like to note that the maneuver aisle servicing 9 on-site parking is also located within the road right of way, which is outside of the property line. So with this variance, what they are looking for is to put those parking spaces which they couldn't allocate within the property to be placed within the road right of way along the 49th Street and the Sunset Drive. With that said, we have had a few internal meetings with Public Works as well. So we wanted to hear from them about what it would look like if they are putting a parking lot within the road right of way. They did express some of the concerns which will be considered by the applicant for the development permit application. So that would be a requirement for the before the development permit is issued. At this point, so far, they have been cooperating for this development. There are further analysis provided for the council's consideration. And yeah, just getting back to some of the questions that I heard at the committee of whole meeting. The services, water and sewage is on the southwest side of the property that Kelly was showing earlier. And there are no any water or other utility services located along the 49th or the Sunset Drive. The main function of those areas, those right-of-ways are to function for the ditch line, snow storage, and storm management. That's I could recall for now. If there are further questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you for that report. Questions? Because you had your questions answered. Okay, so basically what we're asking for is a development permit to allow a relaxation of the number of parking spaces that the zoning the zoning would require.
Yes.
And then to run in conjunction with that in order, how many would it require altogether?
29.
Oh, 29, and we're saying we could get to 20.
17 of them are on site.
Right,
And 12 are outside of the property line within the road right of way.
Right, so if they got permission to use the road right away, they would be in compliance with the zoning bylaw.
It will meet the requirement, but we cannot say it is in compliance because zoning bylaw only deals with the parcel, not outside of the parcel.
But it could come into compliance at a future date. Right? If they satisfied all the requirements and they were able to receive an agreement from the municipality?
Yes, the number will be satisfied.
Yeah,
But as I said, zoning bylaw is specifically about the parcel or the lots, it does not authorize anything outside of the property.
okay. Yeah, okay. So yeah, the variance I don't have any trouble with. What I'd like to see is resolution in the long term, right? That's what I'd like to see for them, right? So that they never have to ever worry about it or not. So we could proceed down this path and parallel to that, pursue permission to use the right of way.
Correct. Through an agreement.
An agreement.
Could be license of occupation. Unless they want to put some kind of use there, then it will be lease. So it would be something we can work internally.
Okay. So I was going to propose the third thing then. There is another option, I think, or that we also could pursue at the same time. And that is to go through the process to gazette the road right away from being a road right away, and actually make it fee simple land and sell the land to them. Then it's totally within the property. Then it's in compliance if we're able to get down that path. And I know that that can happen because in other communities that I've been involved with, we took road right of ways because we just weren't using them. So we took them out of the right of way, and we were able to sell them after that. So there is a process that you can go through to vary a road allowance. Yeah. Yeah. So that also is potentially a path that we can go down, which resolves it really in the long term because it becomes their land. And so, and the questions that I asked about, is there any underground utilities in that right away they're asking to lease from us? And the answer is no. And we still have, if the way I saw the diagram, for them to have 100% parking area, so it's 30% theirs land, 70% our land, there's still 14 feet of right away left for the ditch and the storm, the ditch and the snow removal. So we don't need that 70% ourselves. And I think that's one of the requirements to go through deeding the land. So all of these three things can happen at the same time in parallel with each other. One might take a little bit longer, but you give them the permit to use either in perpetuity if you don't get the road right away out gazetted, or you get it gazetted and you sell it to them at a reasonable price.
Certainly, if it is the entire lot and all the parkings are within the lot, then yes, it will be compliance with the zoning bylaw. However, there are some other aspects such as the distance between the road and the property is only 14 feet, which is not a whole lot for snow storage. So in a later date, there might be some concerns related to snow going to their property. So those liabilities concerns.
You can write that as part of the sale. Write that as part of the sale agreement, that if we spill some snow onto your property, we'll remove it. Sorry, we'll take it off.
Yeah, it's
I
tough.
mean, it's not, these are not insurmountable problems, I don't think. Particularly if we're gonna see a 23 unit low income housing development in the community. And I think we can work our way through this, hopefully to an ultimate conclusion, which is it's their land, or either interim or not quite ultimate, which is the lease or an agreement to rent that property. My concern with the rental is that because there's not enough parking spaces, there's not 23 parking spaces on the lot. My problem is putting electricity into the rental spaces. Right? Because now you're putting a permanent addition, and they need to be plugged in, right? So that's my concern with the lease, is that someday, if it's just a lease, we come along and dig up their electrical system. which then is costly. So that has to be taken into consideration, and that's why I just assumed they owned it as us leasing it to them. But leasing is, or not leasing, but you know what I'm saying, giving them permission, I guess, have an agreement to give them permission to use it. So to me, those are, three paths we can take in parallel, but go ahead. You had questions.
No, my question was way back there. So, and it was around my concerns with the variance is, so say we agree to give this variance, it's that historical, like how do we're agreeing to give the variance because we are allowing the 30% of our land to be used for parking, right? But what stands is that we've given a variance. So we've reduced, because what the variance is actually doing is reducing the number of parking stalls. So I'm not saying I agree with that or I don't agree with it, but my concern is, because I have been around a long time, and how do we ensure the context of this moving forward, right? So a new organization comes in and they want to build and they want a variance for reduced parking. And this project is cited as an example, but it has, the variance, let's just say we approve the variance. We did that because of other circumstances. So how do we tie the variance to the other circumstances is my concern.
Okay.
Would we allow somebody to speak from the gallery?
Sure.
We need permission from council. A motion to move. Seconder,
I would second, yeah.
all in favor? Carried. Step up to the table, please. State your name and your address and you're free to speak. Yeah, thank you.
My name is Krista Ferguson. I represent Aboriginal Housing Management Association. To answer your question, our goal is not to reduce the number of parking stalls because we want the 29 stalls, and we've actually made the stalls larger to accommodate larger vehicles, and because we're going to have seniors that are going to have equipment and the need for more space to get out. So we've done larger stalls than are required, and we want the 29. We don't want to reduce. So our goal is for the full 29, the variance being that we land on your property.
I
And I
absolutely agree, but for us to do that variance, we have to reduce the number of approved parking stalls, and then, according to this report, and then enter into a separate agreement with the complex to say, we give you permission. So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. My concern is, how do we tie that to the next project 10 years down the road that says, well, you gave them a variance for this project. Why are you not giving me a variance? That's my concern, but that's not your concern.
No.
It's our internal workings, but thank you.
I think the potential answer to that is that they're working to get to the 29. The what's the word? The spirit of the bylaw is actively being pursued, as opposed to somebody who might come and say, I want a reduction and I don't want to get to the actual amount. To me, those are separate, because one's trying to come, although we're not calling it compliance, they're trying to come to the number the best way they can because it's in their best interest, as opposed to somebody else who just wants to not do the parking in its entirety. To me, that's the difference. And if somebody in the future came and said, we just can't get it done, but work with us to get there, it's the same then, in my estimate.
As long as the two can be tied together historically, then, yeah, that makes sense.
Councillor Solz.
I'd speak to that as how to tie it together. I think that when variances come along, they all come along with their own set of reasons and circumstances. In a case like this, we're being asked for a variance to allow parking along a street that's hardly used for anything. And it has one access to the driveway to it on the other side of the road where the two-story apartment is. And that's the only one. So already the traffic is really small. Whereas a lot of other places, someone's looking for a variance, you're going to have to find an empty street beside what they're doing. You see that there's just variables in every case, and that's why variances exist. I don't think it has to tie together with a pattern of variance. I don't think there's a pattern for variance.
But it is the first time we've considered it, right?
Well,
So
except the broad, you introduced the three different ideas, and I was just thinking back to in my time on council, there's been two issues around street identifying who owns the street. First one beside the Fort Hotel, 51st Street, and the second one was 47th in behind us. And 47th doesn't even exist. It was a right of way, and we found that there was no point. We had no intention of ever building a street there, and there was quite a few businesses that backed up to what would have been 47th, and so we sold 47th to the businesses. So it's not as though we're not experienced with street modifications in order to make things work for the companies that are connected to them.
So there's precedent for.
Precedent's already
Yeah.
set.
Good. Further discussion. What are council's wishes? Councilor Roper?
I would move the recommendation that staff be directed to initiate public notification of development variance permit application number DVP-2502 in accordance with the public notice provisions of the Local Government Act and the procedures of the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality.
Moved by Councilor Roper, second by Councilor Souls. Is there any further discussion?
I would just say that it's in the best, whatever's in the best interest for getting the project moving, because construction season is not very far from now, even though it doesn't feel like it when you go outside. Construction season's not far away. So the most pragmatic approach to getting this a workable plan for the proponent is what I think is best.
Thank you. Any further comments? Then I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Anybody online? We're all good? Then that carries. Thank you very much. Does staff need a resolution to work towards the other two paths that I talked about? So a resolution to work with the Friendship Society for a permit for use? Is that what we're going to call it? An agreement for use? Yeah. And then secondary to that, that staff look at the opportunity for reducing the right of way, creating fee simple land, and a sale of that land. Two separate, or can we do it as one?
I think one would be fine.
Okay. Somebody like to make those resolutions?
I think you do.
Okay, so I will move then that staff be directed to work with the Friendship Society on an agreement for the use of the right-of-way along 49th. And that staff look to the process of reducing the right-of-way size, creating fee simple land in this area with a view to selling the property. I don't think I'm allowed to say sell it to them. Sell the property, because I think that's a whole process unto itself. Just,
There's some things on Sunset too.
yeah, I was just gonna, 49 and Sunset, and that strip, the strip that we're talking about, and I'll leave it to staff to define what that strip looks like. Is that clear? Enough? Is there a seconder? Councillor Soul seconds that. Discussion on that motion? Councillor Roper.
I think it's fine that we look into it, but I wouldn't like to see us get into too many of those weeds of the project. So I'd like to see the options and how they would like to proceed. But yeah, this doesn't commit us to anything, so I'd support the motion.
Thank you. Any further comments?
Just like, and in the meantime, it is gonna go to public hearings so we can hear from the neighborhood residents.
Yeah, that's what that's what the first resolution was
Okay.
for, the development permit, and that needs to go to hearing.
One isn't gonna stop the other.
No, I
Okay,
think they
thank you.
run in parallel to each other.
As long as we agree that it's running at the same time.
That's just the public notification though, just to the neighboring property owners within 110 meters. It won't be a public
Yeah, it doesn't
hearing.
require here.
Okay,
Notification.
but notification, sorry, yeah, okay.
All in favor? Opposed? That carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Report number 1026 is our Ready Program 2025 Q4 update for information. Ms. Penny, please. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. So this report provides the Q4 update on the RETI program. You'll note the program is slightly over budget on the year to date. And I just want to clarify that this is primarily a timing issue. Some expenses occurred in late 2024 and were processed and paid in early 2025, which shifted them into the 2025 fiscal year. This commonly occurs with the incentives tied to probationary completion, housing verification, or delayed documentation. In terms of outcomes, though, for 2025, 15 individuals received RETI incentives, 3 received welcome packages, 11 received housing, and 6 received financial incentives. Some individuals received more than one type of incentive, depending on eligibility. Overall, these incentives directly supported recruitment and retention of priority healthcare professionals and helped address key barriers. Any questions on the report?
Thank you for the report. Are there any questions or comments?
I'll make a comment.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I love to see the work that has been done towards recruitment and retention for healthcare professionals in the NRM, and I hope it's making a difference. Yeah, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm interested in your thoughts with respect to feedback from the people who are using it. We don't get to talk to them one-on-one unless we learn who they are and become acquainted with them. So, what are they saying? What is the general gist of their acceptance?
So not all get relocation allowance.
Right.
So it's a huge help for them, having to put out that cost to get here, then put a down payment first and last. Yeah, it's a huge help. They really appreciate it.
Good.
For sure. Yeah.
And the idea of helping them work into the community, is that because you're kind of doing that as part of it, right? So, which we appreciate, absolutely.
Yeah.
So are they appreciating that as well?
100%. And they're telling me, like, we really appreciate everything you've done for us. I don't know what I would have done. They're relying on coworkers, which they don't know. So yeah, no, I'm getting lots of feedback.
Good. Well, that's good, because it means we're welcoming them into the community. We're not just providing a program for them to get here. We're merging them as best we can,
Yeah.
as a municipality, into the community.
Absolutely.
Good,
And just
thank you.
so you know, as of today, I had 3 applicants apply who are not employed in the NRM, interested in moving here because of the program. So it's getting out there that this program is being offered. And so it's reverse. I'm referring them to employers. 3 in 1 week, which I think is good.
That's huge.
If only we could be the employer, just say.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Okay, 8.5, which is the revenue anticipation borrowing bylaw number 243, 2026, for adoption. So we move for adoption, please. Move for adoption by Councillor Goering, second by Councillor Enax. Is there any further discussion on the anticipation borrowing bylaw? It's kind of an administrative thing. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. Okay. Item number 8.2, which is the administration report 0826, read the additional information for the bulk fuel light industry, fuel storage and liability for discussion, has some legal, has a lawyer's interpretation of the questions that were asked. And I have some questions about it that I believe may take us further into the legal space. And so for that reason, I'd like to take this report into camera to talk about those things. So that would be under section 91. I, the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. I could have a mover and a seconder to move in camera for that, please. Moved by Councillor Enoch. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Souls. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We'll move in camera to deal with this. And then there's some correspondence there that we'll deal with after we come out of being in camera. So thank you very much, everybody. Okay, thank you. We've had our discussion in camera with respect to the legal ramifications of administration report 0826. There is nothing to report from that. We will move on then to correspondence. There's a letter from Seanah Mollica, Executive Director, Fort Nelson Community Literacy Society, a request for support. Where did I go? That the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality support the Fort Nelson Literacy Society in their application to Northern Development Initiative Trust for $2,500 in funding to support the Cultural Fest. Can somebody put that on the floor for discussion, please? Moved by Councillor Enoch, second by Councillor Gerwing. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. It's on the floor for discussion. Would somebody like to speak to it? Would somebody like to make the motion? Okay, moved by Councillor Gerwing, second by Councillor Enoch, that the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality support the Fort Nelson Community Literacy Society in their application to Northern Development Initiative Trust for $2,500 in funding to support the Cultural Fest 2026. Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next is a letter from Paul Adams, Executive Director, BC Rural Health Network. The council consider the Rural Health Network's request for a donation to support their ongoing work and membership renewal as well. Could I have somebody put that on the floor for discussion? Moved by Councillor Gerwing, second by Councillor Souls. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Somebody like to speak to this, please?
I would, yeah. So I just want to draw your attention to what the BC Rural Health Network is all about. It has been instrumental in drawing attention to the plight faced by many in rural and remote BC around healthcare inequities. They are huge supporters of the NRM and is doing and has and is doing health, giving voice to our healthcare concerns right across the province. I didn't word that one very good. Through the BC Rural Health Network, we have quarterly access to the BC Emergency Health Services Chief Paramedic. We have connections to multiple organizations situated across the province, too numerous to mention here, including quarterly meetings with Northern Health, where BC Rural Health Network advocates for equitable access to healthcare. From one of these meetings and other advocacy work, Northern Health is committed to review their referral process for various testings needed by our kids. For example, autism, complex behavior, etc. Currently, there are only over 30 of our kids on a wait list, and we haven't had any assessment done for years. So the Fort Nelson Child Development Center now has a direct contact with the BC Rural Health Network and all of their connections, which has resulted in an organization coming into the community this spring to do some testing on our kids. So this has been a long time coming, and I believe is a direct result of the connections we have made with the BC Rural Health Network. When meeting with the Premier last year, the BC Rural Health Network was able to highlight the inequities faced by residents of the NRM, including cost to travel, long wait lists for services outside of our communities, and barriers faced when having to stay outside the community for extended periods of time. So we didn't get a meeting with the Premier, but the BC Rural Health Network, and they actually, use the NRM as an example of how these inequities are being faced. So when doing media, the BC Rural Health Network has been able to highlight these inequities and draw attention to what service interruption at the Fort Nelson General Hospital means for us, including distance to the next hospital, weather challenges, and ever-increasing highway closures between here and Fort St. John are unique realities that they have highlighted for us. Our connection to the BC Nurses Union was initiated at the BC Rural Health Network implementation meeting, and I would remind you that it was the BC Nurses Union who honored the NRM with the first ever Healthcare Champion Award. Additionally, it was the BC Rural Health Network that recommended to the seniors advocate Dan Levitt that he connect with the NRM, which led to Dan introducing himself to the mayor at UBCM and promising to visit in the spring. So this is just a brief overview of how the BC Rural Health Network has directly highlighted challenges faced by NRM residents. And my opinion, out of all the organizations we belong to, I believe this one has consistently and strongly advocated for the NRM on many fronts. And why I'm bringing this to your attention today and taking your time is currently the BC Rural Health Network finds themselves in a bit of a financial shortfall and have begun a fundraising campaign. So as you see from their email, they are asking to please renew the membership, which is only $50 a year. I feel this is extremely low, but why they keep it so low is so that as many organizations that are interested can be members. So I would like to recommend that in addition to renewing our membership, that we make a donation to offset this shortfall. And I just have some more information. I'll quickly go through it. So our annual membership fees for FCM is $1,200 a year. Chamber of Commerce is $200. North Central Local Government Association is $6,100. UBCM is $3,200. So I'm more than interested in having a discussion with council, and I just wanted to add that although the financial situation is dire, it can definitely wait for budget considerations. So if council is interested in waiting for our budget process to see how that all weighs out, then I fully understand that. So open to any questions you may have.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Roper, please.
Just a quick question. So they haven't made a request for additional funds. This is just coming from your heart and it's your idea and what you feel is right.
They have made a request for us to renew our membership and for any donations that we would be interested in passing their way. They would gratefully accept. Yeah.
Great. I would just want to know, what, where that would come out of the budget. If it's whatever line item that comes out of, that would help me.
For sure.
Consider that better.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what, I fully understand council's concerns around the budget as I have them as well, which is why I think that we can wait for the whole budget process and see where it all lands.
Did you have a dollar amount in mind? Did they have a dollar amount suggested?
They did not give us, they just, whatever, if anything. So no, they didn't give us any. That's why I kind of gave you what we pay for the other organizations that do advocacy.
I appreciate that context for sure.
So.
Council's wishes.
Okay, well, I'll just make a motion and put it on the floor and we'll see if it goes forward. So I would make a motion that council entertain making a donation to the BC Rural Health Network to include that in the budgetary process for 2026 in the amount of $5,000.
Okay, moved and seconded that we pay the membership and consider a $5,000 donation during the budget process.
Yeah.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? 5,000 seems an appropriate amount. I just did a quick calculation of the numbers and averaged them together, and it comes to 3,500. So it's reasonable in my mind. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Oh, sorry, Scott, go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to advise council that the membership itself, we auto-renew. It just comes out of council's legislative budget. So that's already been done, the $50.
Okay,
That's all.
Thanks.
That's just as FYI.
yeah, thank you.
So we've operationalized that then. Good. Okay, did we vote?
No, we haven't
All in
voted.
favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
9.4 is a letter from Seanah Mollica, Executive Director, Fort Nelson Literacy Society, request for letter of support. That we provide a letter of support of the Fort Nelson Community Literacy Society for their project proposal, Reaching Home Canada's Homelessness Strategy. So we put it on the floor for discussion, please. Moved by Councillor Gerwing, second by Councillor Enax. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. It's on the floor. Somebody like to speak to it?
Okay, I would, just wait, make a motion that the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality provide a letter of support to the Fort Nelson Community Literacy Society for their project proposal, Reaching Home Canada's Homelessness Strategy.
Moved by Councillor Gerwing. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Enax. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Are there any opposed? That carries. Thank you. For information, we have 8 pieces of correspondence for information. Would somebody like to move that we receive those for information? Moved by Councillor Göring. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Enax. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. That's done. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to new business, where I would like to put a motion on the floor that we reconsider the official community plan for 2025 in order to facilitate the zoning amendment request from, and you can put in whatever the zoning request numbers are. And the zoning amendment for the bulk station, yeah, so if you can put those in there. Do I have a seconder? I have a seconder, Councillor Gerwing. Is there any discussion? Councillor Stoles.
So that, in doing so, if we go this way, it actually puts the OCP back into third reading. Is that what I heard?
That's my understanding. However, initiating it tonight gets us within the 30-day window.
Yeah.
And then staff will come back with a report to find out exactly what the ramifications of that are. And if that's the case, we can proceed. If not, then we can go to the, consider one of the alternative options for.
So if it does go back to third reading, then it can actually just sit on the shelf until we can revisit it in a future council meeting.
Correct.
Right.
Well, I would just like to add that, I think that the business in question would probably, they've been waiting a while. And so I would like to advocate on their behalf that council come to a decision in as quick of way as we can, because it has been a while and they've been waiting.
Yeah. So one of the things that the community charter, one of the points in the community charter under this mayor's ability to reconsider is that the matter be dealt with as soon as is convenient. So as soon as we get that report back, we may consider a special meeting to get it done and then move forward with the zoning amendment. Okay, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Are there any opposed? Would you like your name recorded?
Yes, please.
Councilor Roper would like his name recorded as opposed to that motion. Thank you, everybody. Okay, that brings me now to standing items for discussion. Are there any council reports? Councilor next.
I'll start off with February 5th. I attended the Heritage Society meeting, as you all are aware, because he proclamated it tonight. February 16th to 22nd is Heritage Week at the museum. Please come on down to the Trapper's Den Saturday and Sunday, because we'll be cooking bannock and handing it out free in the Trapper's cabin. And I'm hoping to hit up Greg Bain for some of his homemade Saskatoon jam. I attended the Asset Renewal Committee of the Whole meeting February 6th, and then earlier today we had our special Committee of the Whole meeting at noon. As you all know too, NCLGA AGM is happening in Prince George, May 20th to the 22nd. Sorry, I will be attending. I'd like to just add maybe the next meeting, they're looking for proposals to host the 2027 AGM. So I thought that maybe we can have a discussion about it. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Does she need to do anything to put that on the next agenda? Like,
I think the next is notice of motion, and that's
so
the
you'll
place
do it
for it.
then? Okay. Okay, all right. So my counselor report is pretty short. January 27th, I attended the Rural Health Linked Sectors Committee meeting, so through RCCBC. January 28th, the BC Rural Health Network Board meeting, followed by a training for UBC Medical Student Interview Panel, round 1. January 30th, I traveled to Toad to participate in a presentation by the CASCA around the land use planning. February 1st, participated in the UBC Medical Students Interview Panel. February 4th, training for the UBC Medical Student Interview Panel, round 2. And then February 8th, participated in the UBC Medical Students Interview Panel, round 2. So yeah, so one was training and then one was the actual event. And it was like a pretty cool process to see how that all went.
Good. Thank you for that. Are there any other reports?
On January 30th, I also attended the Toad River meeting with the Casca Land Use Planning Group. And I just want to overview that it was really quite fascinating. It was very good conversation and very open, really open communication with the Casca regarding planning and projection and willingness to work together. And it was very good in that way.
Good. Thank you for attending that, both. I have no report. Councilor Roper, any report? No? Okay. There's no business outstanding. Notice of motion. This would be the opportunity for you to put on the floor that you're interested in having a discussion about hosting the 2027 AGM.
Yes. I would like that.
So if we could put that as a notice of motion, good. Thank you. Is there any public that came back on that have any questions?
We weren't able to get Bev back on, but she did have a comment on future planning with rec sites and trails that the tourism committee be included in consultation.
Thank you. Staff can take that into consideration when they. Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, are there any questions from the public with respect to the budget, priority set by council, or any of the council business? Online? No. In the room? No. Adjournment is order. Moved by Councilor Enoch. Do I have a seconder? Councilor Gerwig. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We are adjourned. Thank you.